What is going on, traders? Welcome back to the Traveling Trader. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. Today, I wanted to discuss, aside from Bitcoin's price, which we will obviously go over, I wanted to go over Bitcoin's future price and why this prediction by Pantera Capital that Bitcoin can hit 42,000 by the end of the year is actually more realistic than some of the hyperbolic price predictions that I've seen. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you know I'm not really a fan of these types of price predictions. I'd rather stick to traditional technical analysis and identify levels by support and resistance, fib retracements, moving averages, etc. And I really hate timed predictions that something will be a certain price by a certain time, right? It's good to have targets and to have markers so that you can react accordingly and adjust your trades accordingly. But I really hate these hyperbolic, 100,000 by December 2019 because they never work out. But I'll go over why I think this is actually a pretty realistic, at least pretty realistic analysis of Bitcoin's future price based on historical trend growth. But let us get into Bitcoin's analysis real quick. Actually, I'll talk about a couple of swing trades that we are looking at currently. And if you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. But looking at Litecoin, we bought Litecoin as it bounced off of the 200 moving average and sold. Initially, I sold a portion of my Litecoin when it hit this level here at around $90. And my next target up was the 0.382 fib level at 100. We did hit 100 a few days ago, sold there, and now I'm looking to re-enter Litecoin as hopefully if we do break to the downside, hopefully we get another bounce off the 200-day moving average and not go below that. Because if you look at Litecoin's historical trend, at least in recent history, we were developing this really nice rounding bottom that you see here. And the recent price action that you see here really has taken us beyond the resistance of this rounding bottom. So you could obviously extend this rounding bottom in order to maintain the pattern, but it is not going as, Litecoin is not going as smoothly as it has been in 2019 to complete this rounding bottom, which is fine. The market doesn't have to adhere to our expectations. But anyway, we're oversold for the first time since November 2018. You see the histogram now turning green for the first time in a while, since the second or third week of June, and the MACD is curling up. We do want to see that volume down here kick up a little bit, but I'm looking to re-enter Litecoin at around the 200-day moving average. Link is another one that I'm looking at currently in this descending regression channel. At first, it looked like a bull flag. Now it's consolidating at this level at around the 0.5 fib level. Hasn't really moved in 2 or 3 weeks, which is fine if, as long as traders are accumulating here and not selling. And if you look at the OBV, it doesn't tell us that there's really an outflow of volume. So this definitely looks like a classic accumulation phase, and I'm waiting for Link to pop here outside upwards of this regression channel. Again, if you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. The diamond traders and above gives you access to the stock trade alerts as well. Another one I'm looking at is Netflix. All right, so looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is in a wild array of patterns here. So we had the bull flag at first, stemming from the June trading period going into July. We broke positively out of the bull flag, but hit this double bottom, the double top here at around 13,000 and got rejected violently from that. We did find some support here at around 9,000. And now we are forming this bear flag, right, which was confirmed over the last couple of days by a break to the downside. We did try, coming in yesterday's candle, which extends to today, we did try to get back into the range of this bear flag and try to deny it. But currently we're seeing a lot of resistance at what was the support of the bear flag, right? So in my view, I'm looking to buy back Bitcoin at around the 9,000 level, 9,100 level for a potential, hopefully a potential double bottom bounce. But I do think that we will round the month off in a, in a red candle. If you look at the monthly chart for Bitcoin, we've never had more than 6 monthly candles in a row, 6 monthly green candles in a row. And usually we've had only 5 before, having a red candle, in this case, black. Sorry for the color scheme. I'm trying new things. But so in this case, we have 5 green monthly candles in a row, and this is the current month. We have what, 5, 6 days left, and I do think obviously we'll end up in a red candle here, unless there's some major price rally followed by a short squeeze of some sort. But most likely we'll end up in a red candle here. But if you look in the past, I mean, we've only had 3 times, I believe, that we've had 5 or more green candles in a row, and the limit was 6. So it's either 5 green candles in a row followed by a red one, or 6 followed by a red one. So this is really par for the course and doesn't surprise me. You look at the overall trend of Bitcoin, we are in an uptrend, and we'll talk about historical prices as we get to that price prediction by Pantera Capital. But going back to Bitcoin on the 1 day, what's interesting here is, again, I said that there was an array of interesting patterns, but the overall pattern that you see here is actually looking like a bull flag, right? All these bearish patterns are now occurring within this channel here, or this pattern here, right? So you have a bull flag denoted by what's going on in blue. And essentially, if we respect the boundaries of this bull flag, you can hit 8,500, which is around this 0.5 fib level, right? If the price does come down and hit the support of the bull flag again, we'll be at around the 0.5 fib level, which is also the 100-day moving average. I talked about confluence yesterday, but we would essentially still be within the boundaries of the bull flag and hopefully rally back up to the resistance eventually, which is around 11.5. But by then it'll probably be between 11 and 11.5, and hopefully break out again to retest the 13.9 levels. So Bitcoin is in a very interesting spot right now. Again, the multiple bearish patterns within now this overall bullish pattern. That's just how the market works, and you have to learn to identify these and trade around them. But you can definitely swing trade within these patterns as well. And I will be sending swing trade alerts in the trade alerts. Link is in the description. So looking at this prediction here by Pantera Capital, so they rightfully predicted Bitcoin to hit 3,700, and by June 25th, based on their historical price charts, thought that by June 25th, 2019, we would be at around 12,000, which is very close to being accurate, right? June 25th, we did hit 12,000, and we were actually closer to 13,800 in June, right? So that was actually a pretty accurate prediction. Now, what is this based on? Well, if you look into it more closely, you'll see here this article by Forbes, Pantera CEO, 42,000 Bitcoin price by the end of 2019, a good shot. Now, in the article, they go on to explain something called the Gartner hype cycle, which is a method of interpreting the wide-ranging levels of hype that can occur around new technologies. Now, this historically has been used to evaluate tech companies, but we can consider Bitcoin a new technology, right? And if you look at this, the innovation between innovation trigger and peak of inflated expectations, what Moorhead is explaining is that we are actually so far behind still in blockchain, and specifically in the technology of Bitcoin itself, that we are still in this phase here between the innovation trigger and the peak of inflated expectations, right? We're not at a point where Bitcoin can be rolled out to the mainstream for use by every single person on planet Earth. We would run into some bottlenecks and definitely some scalability issues. So in his view, if you look back at the article, it says Moorhead added that it's important to remember that in his view, Bitcoin and the technologies around it are a project that will take 2 decades to unfold, and we're only 10 years into it at this point. So back to what I was saying about this chart here, the Gartner hype cycle, that we're still in this phase here. And Moorhead points to the fact that, the first piece of research at Pantera, they predicted that Bitcoin would go to 5,000. And this is when it was $100, right? And when it was $100, everybody thought that was totally nuts. But then when you fast forward, 3-5 years in advance, and you look back at the price ranges that Bitcoin was able to achieve, that $5,000, makes a lot of sense. And, if we did hit 20,000 at one point, 42,000 does not seem out of the line. It does not seem hyperbolic. Like, you could actually visualize a world in which Bitcoin is $42,000, and you look back and you're like, oh yeah, that was totally doable. As a matter of fact, I think that the jump between 20,000 and 42,000 is a lot more realistic than when Bitcoin was $100 and you're telling the world that Bitcoin will eventually be $5,000. And if you look at the logarithmic chart for Bitcoin, you'll see that the price prediction that they're projecting is really not unrealistic. It's based on actually a very conservative reading of the chart, right? This is the logarithmic scale, which maps the candles based on percentages rather than actual numbers. But if you look at this, the 42,000 number that they are looking at the end of 2019 is really just with Bitcoin following the trend line closely and not deviating from it, right? We're not talking about some hyperbolic or parabolic move to the upside where Bitcoin deviates so far from the trend line that it's currently in, right? Anyway, it's important to note that trends aren't exactly indicative of future price points. So that's just a fancy way of saying that you can't predict the future, and you can't. But out of all the crazy time predictions that I come across, this one is the most realistic and the least hyperbolic. My 2019 target, if you've been following the channel for most of the year, my 2019 target was actually very conservative. I just had Bitcoin at $10,000, which we are now struggling to get above. But based on trend analysis, by the end of 2019, we might see another bull rally. Anyway, that is it for this video. Go ahead and leave a comment if you have a comment, an agreement, disagreement, etc. I love to hear from you guys. I read every comment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell. Leave a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. If you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. If you need help with technical analysis or want one-on-one training with me, we do that over video conferencing. I have 2 spots left for August, only two. That same link is also in the description, so sign up because spots go pretty fast. Stay safe out there, traders. Peace.